Okay. So I have been pushing this for a bit that this is the last episode of the original showrunner, that the show does take a hiatus at this point and gets retooled a little bit with the new showrunner. Um, and I've been kind of pushing that in the hopes that things will get better. And I hope I'm not pushing too much hype because I don't know how much better they get, but this was definitely a low point for both of us. I had such a great conversation with Lego before he came on, and she made me laugh a few times. So I'm sure she's going to make you laugh a few times. I'm trying to find some positives. I struggle to find some positives, as I do. This is a review. We're talking about a V. We're talking about the 2009 version of V. And even as much as the 1985 weekly series got rough at times, it does feel like this has, at least that had the characters to begin with. And so we can kind of glom onto something.
Yes.
This one is it's a little bit of a struggle bus right now. I see potential, but I also just don't see them taking any advantage of any of that potential.
I could take a red marker to this script and keeping the essentials of what they have could easily improve it.
Yes.
I mean, this show is inept in ways I've never seen an actual show that's gone to air, like in terms of just simple technical.
Yes,
filmmaking, TV show making, like just editing is
right.
some of the worst editing I've ever seen.
It's
impressive.
It is impressive. It is depressive as well. Let me introduce ourselves. I am PLD here on PLD Projects. This is with me as always is Lego. We are committed to going through the entire V franchise, the original miniseries, the 85 show, this 2009 show, books, all the stuff after. We're going to try to get through everything. We are hopefully going to get through this quicker sooner than later, but we're going to try to find some positives. I'll try at least. I know you're trying, but I know you're struggling more than I am.
Can I kind of like set the bar?
Sure.
Okay.
Please.
So I love horror movies. I'm well known for it. I have a whole podcast about horror movies.
Yes.
Right. I'm on a journey. I've seen about 1,200 horror movies.
Right.
There are ups and downs in horror movies. There are good ones, there are bad ones. There are ones that are bad but still very entertaining. There are ones that are good, well made, well acted, well written, that I just simply don't like because it's not my vibe. And that's fine. That's all good. Taste, preference, what have you. This week I watched a movie called Things from 1989, and it is a shot on video Canadian film made by a bunch of guys who were admittedly intoxicated. And it is quite funny and gross. And I love it. I loved it so much. It is not well made, but I was entertained. They got down the entertainment part of what you need to do. And despite being shot on video, wasn't that bad. Okay. I mean, we're talking about like actual VHS shot on video.
Right.
Not that bad. Right. But when you're looking at art, film, television, there has to be the ones that are good, that are well made. Absolutely. And there has to be, just in terms of the spectrum, there have to be the bad ones. And I appreciate that now I have expanded the spectrum to a lower point. So now when I look at a TV show that I don't like, I can say, well, I've seen worse. So, and that's the nicest thing I can
say. That is your positive, that you have seen worse. I'll try to clear that bar for some people, because I know some people actually really like this show. I've talked to a few people who really do like the show, and I always kind of like went, okay. I love a lot of the performance in there. I do. I love Erica. I love Father Jack's character. I love Ryan, the actor who played Boris Chestnut, who plays Ryan. I love Marina Baccarin, who plays Anna.
Yeah, they have a great cast, and
Yes.
no one's phoning it in. Like, they're all
No.
doing a good job. I just think it is completely ruined in the cinematography and editing.
And honestly, also some of the story points in terms of like they just don't seem to have a good wrap on how to build tension properly, and try to even like they're trying to do this like slow burn, but then they're trying to make it a thriller, but they're trying to make it a mystery, but it's
It is
not a
incompetent
good
writing.
mystery. Yes,
It
it's
is
very
just simply
incompetent.
incompetent writing.
And I think the actors do a hell of a job with the material sometimes. There's times I've actually cared about it because I've been impressed or happy enough with the characterization. But it
And it
is
also
definitely a
it's
struggle bus.
going back and forth on things that it's like, I feel like we've talked about this last episode, but it's like, oh, this character is doing the same thing they did last episode, that it seemed like they came down on a definitive
Right.
in
We're
that,
just gonna do it all over again.
but we're just gonna repeat it.
Right,
Okay.
right, right,
So
right.
every episode is kind of reverting characters to status quo, but like
Yeah.
the mission has taken steps forward. So it's like, I don't understand why we're still here in terms of like
Right.
arc. Seems
Yes.
like we've solved this.
So, we began this episode promised I remember when this came out, I promised a little bit of action because it definitely had been less action the first couple episodes. There's very little action. We had the warehouse fight in the first one, I think it was, but like that was really the only real action set pieces I can remember throughout. Or us was like slow burn. So I know they're trying to push it more towards action. So he did get the our resistances, I guess you should say, first kind of battle attack sequence there, or whatever.
At
But
what?
it's at the they did the thing at the end. They blew up the warehouse with the
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking
so
about the parking garage, and I was gonna say calling that action
uh,
is very kind, PLD. You're
yeah.
very kind.
That was an attempt an action, I think that was supposed to be action. I do think that was the intent, was to get an action beat in there, but ended up not working out. Although I gotta say, here's one positive for me. As much as I didn't like the words that they were saying, some of the choices they were making, but Erica and Ryan together did have a palpable tension between them, which I did like. I just wish I wish I understood it better
I
in a
do
way.
not concur,
Okay, that's fair.
but glad that you had that.
Okay, well, we will get there. We will get there. Because first thing I wanted to touch base on, and you mentioned it, one of your first things you said to me, and I actually was the first note I had. We begin with this typical trope of we're going to open mid action beat, and then we flash back.
Okay,
Now, generally, I want to ask the question first. Generally, not specifically to this episode, is it an effective trope for you? It is a cheap trope for you? Do you like this? Do you not
it
like
is a
this?
completely ineffective trope for me. Do not
Okay,
like it. There are occasions it can work
right.
for something like Tarantino can pull that off,
Mm,
right?
okay, okay,
Megamind, I think, did that really well because it kind of brings the arc and storytelling, and there is narration on the character's part.
right,
So he's bringing you up to speed on what
right.
you've already seen. But generally, just tell the story. I don't think I've ever seen one like that where I'm like, you could have just started the movie
Right, right, right.
at the beginning.
I think the times have liked it, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, and that's just me getting old and having, dementia almost at this point. But I remember like there's times where if it's best served for me, like you mentioned the Tarantino of it, love that because he's always playing with that. Nolan kind of plays with time tropes as well. But this is like a more overused one. I do like it when they present something and then when they go back, when you get to that point again, you're seeing it from a different angle. Like it's something they present something like, "Oh, what's happening? Why is this happening?" And then it makes more sense because you're without the information, you don't fully understand what's going on.
I I think it can work in something like a TV show that's maybe a bit longer and maybe more comedic. Like, I'm thinking like Community
Mhm,
maybe had an episode where they did that and it was effective.
mhm.
Um, maybe Community or just a TV show that's just a little bit longer and that's maybe just a one-off for an episode that's kind of more silly.
Right.
Or something where it's like we're being told a story in flashback. So obviously we already know certain things like Stand By Me.
Right.
Although
That
that's
makes
not
sense.
like cut to. I mean, that's obviously flashback, flash forward.
Right, absolutely.
So a little different, but kind of similar.
Okay, so fair enough on that. I do talking about this one specifically though, it never works if what you're flashing back to isn't like the crux of the episode.
Yeah, it flashed forward. I think it was 17 minutes later.
Yeah, we got to that 17 minutes after after it began. It's kind of like, well, this is so it really at that point to me, I was like, this is a cheap opening. This is a cheap try to draw you in. It didn't work.
It's even then, it's like you didn't even know how to do the trope. It's literally a trope.
Right.
It's the most obvious. It's written down. It's in memoriam. You can look at it anywhere and know how to properly do it, and you didn't even execute that correctly.
Correctly. Right.
Impressive. Can I read the note that I sent you?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
My note was cut to 14 hours earlier. No, are you bleeping kidding me? I do not care for this to be cut to 14 hours earlier. How about we cut to 15 years later when you've been canceled? And that is a joke. Well, I've paraphrased from Rick and Morty.
I recognize the paraphrasing. Okay, all right. So we have the opening, and we go back to where we were. Our flash back to pretty much normal
Should
time.
we say what happened?
Okay, look, that's not really important because we're gonna get there. I don't feel like we're gonna get there. Okay, we should. Okay, we'll say what happened. What happened was we opened up, and the opening sequence is we're running through this unknown area. Georgie is like down on the ground. Ryan shows up, and then Eric and Ryan have guns at each other, guns drawn, and we don't know what the hell is going on. We're like, whoa, last thing we knew, the resistance was just meeting for the first time, getting our four pieces together, and then boom, Ryan shoots, and we flash back. And we get to see the resistance talking together. I'm just going to call them the resistance because that's what the four of them are at this point. And again, I like Georgie's performance in this. I like in this part. Unfortunately, his character is assassinated during this entire episode, I feel. Because I'll flash forward. We'll flash forward throughout. We don't need to go bit by bit. I think flash forward.
I thought you meant literally, and I was very confused. I'm like, no, PLD, he lived.
It feels like he gets to the point where the plan eventually is to kidnap a visitor because there's something going on. They have to figure out about this compound they're making, and they got to figure out what's going on. Ryan, of course, is the Deus Ex Machina. Of course, he knows everybody involved with something because that's what he knows. That's his role. Oh, the visitor's doing something. I know somebody involved with that. We can get them. And Georgie is, instead of going after him to get the information about, saving the fucking world or saving the country or whatever, he is hell-bent on assassinating this one visitor, killing this one visitor to do what? I don't know what he wants revenge because his family was killed. Okay. But he was presented initially as this pretty smart resistance leader, very paranoid. Yes, absolutely very paranoid, but he seemed to have a handle of how to do this a little bit more. And a little bit.
I didn't get that sense, but okay.
Well, I mean, in terms of it would make sense to me that he would understand that they want to capture this person to get to their higher, instead of just killing him off. Like the goal was to save the day with the compound and everything else. They need information to do that, and he's just going to go and kill him because he wants to kill.
The interesting thing about writing is your characters can only be as smart as you are.
That's fair. That's fair.
And I think these characters are written like they're very intelligent and effective. However, watching them from a point of view of I'm just an audience member going, well, why didn't you do that obvious thing or that obvious thing,
right.
That obvious thing? Or why didn't Erica at any damn point when she realized Ryan was a visitor ask, why are the visitors here?
Oh my God, I'm gonna jump right to that then because you brought it up. I had that written down in my notes.
I was so annoyed
because there is at one point where Eric and Ryan match up and they figure it out. And there's not only does she not ask but she actually has a point specifically to ask. Ryan and her share this moment, and Ryan turns to her and says, "Well, we're not going to work together until you get these questions out. Get these questions out." And I don't even remember what she asked because they weren't even that important. But what you have the opportunity to ask right then, why are you here? Why are the visitors
Or why
here?
wouldn't he just tell
them.
her?
Yes.
It's just so dumb. Like, why is it episode 4 and we still don't know? Because the writers haven't decided yet is the reason. But
I wrote that as one of the
So-
other note I had. Fourth hour
annoying.
in, no clue of their motivation. We knew the visitors' motivation, I want to say, in the first 2 hours of the miniseries. Or I think Donovan.
But they could build attention. This does not.
4 hours in, we have no clue. Like 2 hours in, I don't think we knew everything 2 hours in, but we had a good idea. We had understood that they were here. Like, I think Donovan went up to meet with Martin or whatever. Either way, it was close a lot sooner, and it was done much better. This is like we're fumbling around. Like, we know the visitors are here. Why do we think they're bad? We don't know. There's no real reason for us to think they're bad beyond like some gut instinct type things and some random things. And then the fact that there's lizards. Okay, that's the one thing we know, that there's some kind of alien underneath, and that's sleeper agents. But it just feels like there's nothing being built on that at all. And it's okay to have a mystery. It's okay to have things going, but you have to like give us a little bit, or you have to go a little bit more down.
But also the mysteries they have just aren't good. Like Ryan's fiance, as soon as she said, "I feel tired," I'm like, okay, she's pregnant. But it drags on the whole episode. I'm like, just get to the thing that we already know.
And this is the weird thing too. They're going to have to explain this because, quite frankly, like at least with Robin in the original, when Robin and Brian happened, at least there was that vague medical Diana was experimenting, or Diana was doing something. At least you have that vague sci-fi alien technology. Aliens are higher, are superior to us as far as like knowledge and science goes. Maybe they somehow make it work. Otherwise, we have this lizard and human mating, which probably there's no way should be possible in any way, shape, or form. At least as a sci-fi fan, I feel like as a sci-fi fantasy and horror fans like us, we're willing to go a little ways. If you just
Yeah,
give
my
us
suspension of disbelief is there. Right. I'm not questioning the how of it at all. I'm like, sure, whatever.
If you
fine.
give us a little something, just a little something.
I'm more. You guys really want to do babies? No, you don't. No, you don't. But also, my thing was more on the character. I'm like, dude, you've been here how long and you haven't figured out what a condom is? All right. Okay,
That's
lizard boy.
That's fair. I mean, that don't even get me started though. I feel like his skin probably should be a condom.
I was thinking it, but I wasn't gonna say it. I think we had this conversation.
I think we did. We're thinking too much about the visitors' sex lives, I guess, but it's only natural. It's only natural.
For him, I feel like if they urinate the same way that human males do, that's probably a thing. I think you have to wonder that they probably don't have the same anatomy in terms of like just general anatomy, like genitalia. So it's like
right. There's something down there really that we know.
Now we're getting to the how, and that's just a lot. My jokes previously were about the makeup.
It's fair.
I'm just not going to talk about it.
Okay.
Okay, wait. I want to say one thing about it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so you were talking about Georgie.
Yep.
He wants to reveal their true faces.
Right.
I'll be honest, I completely lost the plot of like what they were trying to do. I simply don't care. I don't care. I just lost it. I'm not going to get it back. They're going to do things and I'm just going to jot them down and try and catch up. But Ryan gets very angry. He says, "Don't let me ever hear you talk about revealing their true faces again."
Skinning them specifically. Yes. Supposedly skinning is like a very painful
and the whole thing with, I'm going to get to Joshua later, and it's going to be detailed. But so I'm just confused. Why? Like, why? That's it.
I'm
Why?
I'm guessing this is my guess, and this is me trying to trying to meet them halfway. I'm still trying. I feel because it's the organic skin covering that they're using, that somehow maybe like when they put the skin on, it like actually literally attaches to them, maybe through
So, no, that I
the skin.
understand, but it
That's
seems
the
more
pain
like
when you bring it out.
it's like a reverence thing, like almost like a religious thing. Something that's like, you can't seeing my true face is something that is wrong. You can
Oh,
only
interesting.
see the covering.
Interesting. So I only took it as if it was like a really painful thing that they did, because when they put the human skin on, to take it off was really painful.
Well, I mean, if you skin anything, it's gonna be painful. We're gonna
Right.
talk about martyrs later. It's
Yeah.
fine.
It's true. I think once they go in the skin, they don't come out of the skin. I think that's kind of what the idea is. Um,
Oh, that's a commitment.
that's what I think.
I'd be like, "No, thank you. I'll
I
just
know.
go Wizard."
Oh, yes, exactly. Um, Going back, another thing I want to talk about the meeting, first of all, of course, Ryan keeps his secrets, doesn't tell anybody he's a V, and Georgie actually backs him, which I guess is okay. Um, but what choice is that? I felt like a bad choice by Ryan. Like, this is
I
going to come
feel like I gave him so much liberty in the first episode, and now I'm backtracking. He's a dumb
back on him.
boy. He's a
Yes.
dumb, dumb, boring boy.
Yeah, because Erica is too much of a digger, too much of an she is intelligent overall. She's probably the most intelligent of them. I don't think she uses it all that well sometimes, but
Mhm.
she's kind of at least she's someone who she's not satisfied with the surface generally. She always seems to want to dig deeper. So that's the kind of person you're not going to want to not going to be able to fool for very long anyway. If you're going to work long term with these people and you're going to come up with these, oh, I work with this guy, it like seems like it's like, well, you might as well just tell them. Tell them at this point, get it over with, and there's no real reason. I guess I understand the reason. Like, is it supposed to be like he's scared that they're not going to work with, or they're not going to believe him or anything? But I feel like if he comes clean, that would be the best thing he could do. Because if
But
he
then
comes
to
clean and goes,
just reveal it 15 minutes later,
that was my
that's
next point.
the point.
that was my point. Is that like I feel like okay, I watched this. Okay, so I watched this go down. I'm like, okay, if they're going to go this route, then at least we'll see this for a couple episodes, and at least it'll kind of be a working point. Maybe have some kind of dramatic reveal. Nope, 15
No,
minutes
one
later, he does
commercial
it.
later.
We're doing it anyway. It's like, so why bother with it? I mean, you want a
Yeah,
dramatic reveal, and like,
that's a
but
lot of what they do. Is like, you set this up, and then like 15 minutes later, it has a payoff. That's not how writing works, guys.
yeah. Yeah. I will say you just helped me out with George a little bit, because the idea of skinning him maybe was supposed to be showing the world what they were, and that was Georgie's way of doing that, and that would be
Yeah,
smart, I guess.
that
I
was
guess
like,
that makes sense, because the way I was reading it first, it just said he wanted to kill him because he wanted to kill him because he wanted to kill visitors.
no,
And I was like, that just
reveal.
seems
I
dumb.
read it as a reveal.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm glad you did that, because it makes me like Georgie again, because Georgie, that was part of the problem that Georgie had for me this episode. Um, kind of, but so I didn't worry about that. All right, so
Who?
Val, Ryan's wife or fiance.
Um,
We
didn't
have
remember her name at all.
I wrote it because I wrote it down when
In
he said
fact,
it. That's the only reason.
I wrote Ryan as Marcus
Did
for my whole first page of notes. And then I literally write, "Oh, is his name not Marcus? Is there a Marcus?" I didn't
Marcus
even
is Steven.
care.
Marcus is Steven. That's I gotta remember.
I got it now. And then I wrote, "Oh, he's Marcus."
Gotcha. Okay.
I got it. My notes are very fun.
I'm sure they are. You should actually publish them somewhere.
I do. I have, if anyone ever cares, I do have a website where I post all the episodes. I can go back and post my notes for them.
Oh, that's awesome. I'd actually love to watch that, to be honest with you. Love to see that. The interesting all right, so here's another bit that could have been interesting, and if it was well done, but I just didn't care because of how it's handled. We find out that Tyler is seeing Val, the psychiatrist. Like that's his therapist or whatever. I was like, okay, well, let's
Brandon's friend seeing the
Brandon's friend.
psychiatrist, I'm fine with. Again, suspension of disbelief. We have to bring our characters together. That works for me.
It actually felt like original V. That kind of like it kind of felt like you had those characters that they worked together, and that's how they eventually became a resistance together. They had connections, like the Maxwells had
Mhm.
Sancho as their gardener, and Caleb worked with hands. Like, there's those kind of thing that kind of happened naturally. So that kind of, I was like, oh, I liked that.
What didn't work for me is that there is no way Brandon's friend goes to therapy.
No, well,
There
I could
is
see forced
no
therapy. I could see
way.
forced therapy, like she makes him go. But you're not wrong. He definitely
Oh,
wouldn't
no,
change.
no. There's no way Erica or Elizabeth, whatever her name is
Uh,
doing it. That is school mandate. In which
that's
case, he's only seeing the school
yeah.
guidance counselor.
Yes,
Come on now.
that's
Come
probably true. That's probably true. But then worse than that, we have Tyler, Brandon's friend, making the appointment at the V Healing Center for Val after he was literally almost thrown out of the program. Yes, he's in with he's in with the boss's daughter, I guess now again. But it just felt like, again, just felt like a stretch to get Val to see a visitor doctor kind of thing. And it was like, it just seemed like more and more, okay, okay, that's what we're doing here. That's what we have to, okay. I wrote it as nice connection if I cared about Val or Tyler for that matter. That's the truth, because I don't.
I only refer to him as Brandon's friend.
And I don't blame you for that, honestly. Speaking of Brandon's friend, what is he ready for? And how long can they string this out for? Like,
I don't care. They have not got me to care about it whatsoever.
partially because they don't tell you anything. It's just you see Laura Vandervoort talking to Anna and basically saying, "I think he's ready," and she's saying, "Yes, I think he's ready. Bring him on board." He comes and she shows him the engine room. It's really
Oh, I
about
had a
it.
whole thing about that. It just didn't make any kind of sense to me. They're walking down the hall, and Anna says, "It's universal nature for animals to be protective of their young. Lisa told me you like motorcycles. Let me show you the engine room." That was the actual, there was nothing in between that.
Yeah. No,
That
you're right.
what segues did what just happened? Is she short circuiting?
I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to say, I am taking you on my own because I'm protective of Lisa and I'm going to try to get to know you. So I'm going to try to
I
talk
mean,
about things you like, but
I
it's
get
not
what they're
Will.
trying to do,
Right.
but is she supposed to sound like she's on
Still,
drugs?
maybe, maybe,
Is
maybe.
the writing supposed to be bad?
Probably not supposed to be bad. You're right.
I don't actually know. I can't tell.
Yeah, he better, I wish I remember. I don't remember a whole, like I said, I don't remember the show very well. I only watched it once during the 2009 when it was on the air. And I don't remember what Tyler is, if he's important, but the way they're setting him up to be like the chosen one almost. And it feels like that's not the way it's supposed to be.
I, I maybe Googled it.
Okay. You did.
Well, I will say this. Do you think the show works at all or better if you haven't seen the original?
It's hard for me to answer that because I have seen the original. So without having seen it, it's hard for me to try to get in that frame of mind. Because I will say, and I had this issue earlier on, you kind of called me out on it a little bit in terms of like when I first started, I was definitely equating characters with other characters. Like, oh, this is the Donovan type character, this is the Julie type character, even though they're not entirely, I guess that's what I was going for. So I guess in that way, it makes it more difficult because I expect things out of these characters than I don't.
Like
They
I'm
can't
I'm
give.
expecting them to eat people.
Right. Yeah.
I'm well, we already know they're lizards, but I'm expecting because of Tyler and Lisa for them to be like interspecies erotica.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weirder that Anna and Lisa are mother and daughter. Like that creates like a whole new level of gross
Mm-hmm.
beyond even what was going on with Robin and what's his name?
Brian, yeah.
Brian.
Which would make
So
sense if there was
it's
something
weird.
important there. If there was something important with their alien background, with something to do with that, if there's something to be had with that, it'd be okay. But I just don't feel like there is, and I don't feel like they know any better. And I have a feeling, because I don't remember anything, and you would have went to Google. I'm not going to ask you. I don't want you to spoil it for me, but my own initial prediction is we have a showrunner who decided to throw us together, and then the other showrunner probably just didn't love the idea and probably kind of like push it off to the side a little bit. I mean, he couldn't push it off to the side completely because it was set up to be something important. So they have to kind of like keep the characters together while trying to shift what the issues are, what's going on there. And I don't know if I inherited this program after 4 episodes, I came in and I was like, I don't know what I would do. I don't know if I would do this. I don't know what I would do, to be honest with you. If I was tasked with it, I would try to, I mean, I know I would try to
So I
hire
can
all the
already tell you what I would do because I've thought about it.
Let's hear it.
His dad is John May.
Okay.
Boom, I'm done. He's already the star child. Don't got to redo it.
That's actually
But
brilliant. That's actually brilliant. That's actually brilliant. That would have made sense because then we find out that he is the son of John May. That's why Anna would think he's important for whatever reason.
to be clear, he is not.
He is not. That's actually a very good choice. I appreciate that plot line. I would like to have seen that put into play. No shit. That is really good. That is really good. It's much better than what they end up doing.
Sometimes writing is about making it simple but deeper. Simplify the plot, make it deeper.
Okay.
That's the opposite of what they're doing in this show.
Yes.
Overcomplicating the plot and having it be shallow as possible.
Right. And yeah, it is very surface level. That's part of the problem because a lot of this stuff is very, very surface level. And a lot of the references aren't very subtle, which I guess I can't complain about in terms of that because the original wasn't subtle at all. We know this. We've mentioned how the original wasn't subtle either. But I have a problem with how unsubtle it is this time around for some reason, more than that I did last time. I think the other one you could get away with this unsubtlety because of how good the characters were and how well drawn out the resistance was and the motivations were.
But also, I mean, there's a conversation in regards to like subtlety, but it completely made sense. Like nothing felt like you're going out of your way to make this statement. Like it all worked tonally.
Subtly unsubtle, I guess you could put it that you'd say it that way. Yeah, no, I get that. That makes sense. That's true. Like this, it seems like they're just taking random things. Like, for example, I wrote down, oh no, an anti-vaccine show.
Oh, we'll get to that. Oh my God, we'll get to that. But at this point, we're kind of like, once we get to what we've just talked about, I mean, obviously we're kind of bouncing back and forth, but we're 11 minutes and 11 minutes and 40 seconds in when the V logo shows up. That's and right. We get the title credits.
I remember that being, wow, that's a long
I wrote,
time.
This is an exercise in cruelty. How do you go through 11 minutes into a TV show and get your title credits? I mean, I've seen shows that have done that well, or movies. Like recently, I think 2 years ago, Fresh did that very well, having the logo come in like, I think 27 minutes in. This ain't it, girl. No. 11 minutes and 40 seconds, and you're just now dropping in the title credits. Ridiculous. You think you're doing something, and you're not.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. So the vaccine thing comes into play where obviously we find out that the visitors have a compound named R6 that they're trying to push on us. They try to think, I think the writers again think they're clever because they establish the V healing centers and they establish this vitamin shot that they're going to give out. And so we're automatically supposed to think that there's something in the vitamin shot. Well, it turns out there's nothing in the vitamin shot, and they're actually trying to mix this R6 compound in with the flu vaccine, which is very anti-vaccine.
Yeah, can I just put a pause right now?
Way too clever for its own.
Okay.
Good. Trying to be clever, I should say.
Learn kind of what's happening. They set it up, really. We didn't learn about it. They set it up in a conversation that Anna is having with Chad in an interview.
Right.
And he asks if they found a cure for the common cold. She says, no, you'll just have to get your flu shot. Don't know if people know this. A cold is not The
The
flu.
flu.
That's why we use different words for them. I was so mad about it.
You're not
It's
wrong.
just
You're
a
not wrong.
simple thing, but it just goes to show the laziness.
Yeah, I agreed. It's completely lazy, and the idea also is lazy that we don't even know what this compound really does. Do we even find out what it does? I don't remember,
No,
like
that
they're
didn't get it.
experimenting on
Like
it,
I said, I
and
lost the plot. I didn't get it back. But then again, I don't know if I like missed it,
I
but you
that's what I
didn't get it
thought too,
either.
maybe. I know that I didn't 'cause I could remember they eventually go to the warehouse at some point, and
And why
they
wouldn't they
find the
save some
compound.
vials to test them?
Oh, I
Or why
know.
wouldn't Ryan, who already knows what it is, tell them at
Yeah.
any damn point what it fucking does?
Well,
I'm
maybe he
so
doesn't know. He might not know what it does, like, he
He
knew people
clearly
who were
has
working on it.
experience with it, though. So it
Mm,
seems very much that he does know exactly what it is. He immediately knows, "Oh, it's not the vitamin, it's the flu shot." He clearly knows
see,
what
I didn't get that he clearly knew. I get that he knew about the R6, that they were doing something. He looked at the computer and saw the flu vaccine and got that. As
Okay,
for what
so
it
maybe
does
I have no belief in it whatsoever.
as for what it does, I don't I could believe him
But
not knowing what
how
it
how
does,
are you
but
not saving some vials to test them? That
yes,
would be my
absolutely.
number 2 must do.
Because quite frankly, the show is also forgetting the fact that this is not a show just in New York City. We have motherships all over the world. These are flu vaccines all over the country. They blew up one warehouse. One warehouse. They're gonna need to figure out what this is and what this is doing for the rest of the country.
And
But, like, we don't care because at the end, they're like, "Oh, they blew up the warehouse. Oh, it's all over." Like, "We saved the
PLD.
day."
Can we talk about what happened after they blew up the warehouse?
Go ahead.
They're walking they're in New York. They blew up a warehouse. I mean, it exploded.
Mhm,
New York,
mhm,
very famously populated,
mhm.
and they're just walking around town all willy-nilly, smiling, laughing, having a blast, splitting up. What? That's all I have. It's 2009. Like, cameras exist.
Yeah.
What
Yeah, this isn't the '80s anymore.
CCTV footage exists.
Mhm.
What?
I get it. I agree. I fully agree. I mean, it's very strange, and
And she's FBI agent? I just don't have any words.
yeah, that was definitely rough. That was definitely rough for sure. Let's see. I'm trying to think of anything else about that part. Oh, we got to Erica versus Ryan. I will say the Eric versus Ryan, like this is what I said. I did like their chemistry. I know you didn't, and that's fine. I did like the suicide pill. I thought it was a nice. I liked the effects. I thought that was
Yeah,
kind of cool
that
looking.
looked good.
I like that. I know that's me looking to be positive.
Okay, I will say I know I've been talking about the cutting back and forth a lot, but it's aggressive.
It is.
Cutting
You're
back
right.
and forth is aggressive, and I just don't understand the point, like, in some of it. Like, they're doing such a bad job of building suspense. I haven't seen a show do this bad of a job of building suspense since that 2020 version of The Stand. Like, it's painful.
I never watched it, so I couldn't tell you.
Oh, don't. Like, it actually might be worse than this. The way
Really?
I hated that show,
Oh wow.
it was
Wow.
so much. It's just it was even no, it was worse than this. It was so bafflingly bad. It made me so angry. I'm like, this who said, "Let's do this instead of chronologically, like the original, let's do it character by character." So every
Ooh.
episode starts back and keeps bounce so it starts like post, like at the end, like when we've
Right.
all gathered in Colorado. And then it cuts back to before Captain Tricks, and then we go through Captain Tricks and how they get to Colorado. What the fuck is the point? Every episode.
Oh
I
my
mean, I think it
god.
stopped after like the 4th episode, but I'm like, why are we back here again? Go chronological. This was the
Right.
dumbest choice I've ever seen in television. It's insane. And then Ezra Miller played Trash Can Man.
Oh, did he?
And they were in this horrific outfit and like gyrating, and it was actually really uncomfortable. I'm like, I can't watch this anymore. I'm done. And
I
I cut it
mean,
off.
they're pretty uncomfortable anyway, and sometimes it feels like they are more and more uncomfortable as things go on. Um, well, so viewers out there, if you wanna push, we can maybe we'll cover 2020 stand after V is over. If you like to see Lego hate watching.
It's I have a lot of energy and I'm very passionate. So I guess I'm a fun person to hate watch, but I try not to just say this is bad. I try to give detailed reason and explanation and what could have been done to improve.
And you do
If you want
wonderful
to
with
see a
it.
hate watch, I do have one of my channels I can plug. I think I did a pretty good job on Cowboy Bebop, the Netflix one. It,
Oh,
I think
okay.
I did okay on that.
Okay, well, there you go. Plug it away. You like that hate watch, go find that and go watch that for more. No, and I will say, when I say hate watch, I do it in a fun way too, because you aren't someone who just says they hate it and they don't. You have very clear examples why, you have very clear opinions on things, and so it's not a knock on you at all. It's just that you're very funny when you talk about it that way. It's kind of fun seeing you riled up about it because you are so passionate. I love that about you. So, um, all right, what else we got here? The anti-vaccine bit, you got that.
You want to talk
Um,
about Chad? Because I think
I was
we've kind of covered
about
everybody
to
else.
say, we have Chad, we have the fifth columnist to go. I have a little bit about Jack too, but let
Who?
me touch on Jack real quick. Father
Oh,
Jack.
Father Jack.
I
I
will
don't
say,
know who he is unless you say Father.
Father Jack. That's fair.
I actually
I
really liked where they went with him.
I was about to say this is my most positive part of the episode was Father Jack's character.
Yeah.
Great, he's nailing his role, and he has probably the best material of the entire group so far because I get where his story is going a little bit. He's
Him and
just
Joshua, for sure.
Joshua too. Yeah, Joshua too. Absolutely. Learning that Jack is an army chaplain, which kind of
Mhm.
does this is me going back to the characters. Makes me think of more of like Father Andrew back in the day. I guess they're maybe a little
Yeah.
bit like
That
him.
I do think is very, very similar, obviously.
Similar. I like how it's revealed by Georgie, and then Georgie has that line that haunts him, and I think it's a good line. You got to learn, you got to figure out what you want to be, a priest or a soldier, because that's what it's coming down to. And he is taking that to heart, and he has the moment with the gun and the flag. He digs out his old army weapon, I guess, and his flag, and he doesn't know what he wants to do. And he's just kind of, you could tell how torn up he is, how broken up he is. He's obviously a man of religious faith, and this is not the way he wants to go. But he realizes that more and more he's getting dragged into this, and
Yes.
it's good to watch. It's actually good. It's good TV. So
I felt,
there you
however,
go.
though, I can't not do it. I'm gonna be mean. I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
But I do feel as though they did have the voiceover of Georgie repeating that line.
Dumb. Yeah.
I feel like they shouldn't have done that.
Unnecessary.
Unnecessary. Like,
Unnecessary.
you can show and not tell.
Yeah. No, we
Especially
understand.
in the same episode.
We
If this
understood it.
was, like, 3 episodes ago, then yeah, sure. But
Yeah.
this was, like, 10 minutes ago.
Not even, right, exactly. So, no, it made sense. We all knew what he was doing. We all got what he was
Yes.
doing with that.
And
That's why
then that great moment where he's trying to get this man who's come into the church to leave. I'm not sure why they're locking up the church tonight because it seems like that's something they didn't used to do, maybe. Maybe I
possible.
misread that, but he's still it's clear that he is a very kind and concerned person who wants to do good in the world,
Right,
and
right.
he does care,
Yeah,
and that can be war can be difficult for someone who is, I would say, not a pacifist, but, just maybe more gentle.
right. Yeah, no, absolutely, and, you could tell, I mean, it almost he seemed a little abrupt to me when he did that, but at the same time, it's like this is war changing him. He's overwhelmed. He is very overwhelmed. This whole situation has been like nothing that he has seen in a long time. I mean, he had the army background, but this is different when you're fighting on your own home turf and these alien and you're the only it's not like you're with an army anymore. You're with 4 other people or 3 other people at this point. It's kind of a scary situation for him. Um, and of course, you find out that it's not anybody needing help. It's one of the guards from the warehouse, and he gets
Yes.
stabbed,
I was gonna say shanked, but yeah, stab.
shanked. Where yeah, shanked and stabbed both works. And like, there's our cliffhanger for the for next season, so to speak. Or
Yeah.
4 months from then. I remember watching it being like, God damn it. I didn't really think they were gonna kill him like it's too early. But then again, I had like Alan Tudyk in the back of my mind because I was like, no, they're not doing that again, are they?
Was Alan Tudyk how do I put this? Was Alan Tudyk back then?
Yeah, yes, enough because like Serenity was I mean, Firefly was a thing. I think Dollhouse was right around the same time too. I that definitely knew who he was,
Okay.
comparatively so. And they definitely, like, put him in the teaser trailers, the first like, when they first were talking about V, they put him in the teasers and everything else, which makes sense,
That
honestly, because
made
you're
me
gonna go with the
so
first episode.
mad.
But it made me so mad, exactly. But
That
because of that
I was, too young for the adverts for Scream, but if I wouldn't have seen Scream and like, saw the adverts and Drew Barrymore, I'm sure everyone's seen it, I don't think I'm spoiling anything.
yeah.
I would have been so mad about it.
Oh, yeah, I know. And Drew Barrymore did, and she was actually in the teasers. I remember her being in the teasers for it. It was like one of those things like, "Oh, shit," because that was the idea, trying to pull the rug from under you, saying, like, nobody is safe and everything else. So, I mean, it kinda happened recently with Star Wars: The Acolyte. They had I don't spoiler alert,
Yeah,
but, you didn't want I know you didn't yeah, I know you're not the thing. But they Carrie Ann Moss was a big part of the advertisements and, her Jedi character, and
sure.
she dies in the first episode.
I
And she
don't
comes
know what
back
any of those words are.
you
I
you
think I've
know
heard of dies.
do you know who Carrie Ann Moss is?
No,
Okay, she's from The Matrix?
no.
Okay. Alright, well, then that's where we're gonna go with it. I think we should watch those together. I think you'd like The Matrix movies, honestly.
No, I mean, I've never sat down and watched the whole thing, but I've seen it, just in passing, and it's just not my
Okay.
thing, not my vibe.
I love it because it's so philosophical. I love it more than the action part. But that's all right. That's a totally different story. Um, okay, well, anyway, either way, it is kind of like sometimes it gets people mad. Sometimes it's for Scream, it's actually effective.
Yeah,
It does what it's supposed to do. For Tudyk, it made me mad. It just made me mad because it's like, oh, Tudyk's in another series and a great. I love him in Firefly and Osman. No, he's not in the series
and he
anymore.
always be dying.
Yes, exactly. But I thought when Jack gets shanked, I was like, back of my mind, I kind of was like, they're not going to do that again, are they? But I didn't know for sure. I had to wait 4 months or whatever it was for him to come back before I found out, oh, he's going to be okay.
See, if I was around back then, I never would have watched episode 5. I'm
Oh, I
like,
know
"This is
you
what I
wouldn't.
got for the first 4 episodes, I'm out. Done."
I only like I was so obsessed with V back in the day. Like this is the reason why I did this show. Is like I was in love with the original, in love with the with even the weekly series. Oh, I had the books, I had the comics, and I watched as it kept promising to come back in various iterations. I remember the one we talked about with I'm blanking the guy's name now. J. Michael Straczynski. I remember that pitch. I'm like, okay, great, didn't happen. I remember Michael Ironside having interviews in Total Recall where he said he had unfinished business with Ham Tyler. I heard all this stuff about Donovan was going to come back and Mark Singer wanted to do something. And all up to Kenneth Johnson getting the book out and everything else. And Kenneth Johnson trying to get a sequel done. And then finally they announced that reView is coming back. It was kind of one of those things where like I was so in, I was all in for so long that I was like, I'm watching it till the end. If it wasn't V, and it wasn't like something I was already like in love with as far as the overall property, I probably too would have been gone after the fourth episode.
So let me ask you this, if they were to reboot it again now, would you
Yeah, I'd
watch?
watch it at
Yeah,
100%.
me too. But I think also with the quality of television being so significantly better than it was in 2009, I think we would definitely get something
Like
far
imagine like a
better.
V like on like HBO Max, kind of like a Max premiere series of V or
Yeah.
something. That'd be really well done. Or even on like some of the other streamers. Amazon Prime could probably do a great job of
I'm
that, I think.
totally blanking on the guy's name who did Chernobyl, but
Oh yeah,
he
that
would
would be a
do,
great
I think, a
one.
great job
Absolutely. I think there's definitely a possibility.
making it, like, really deep, good
Mhm.
action. Now that's a guy who can build tension.
Yes,
He made me
100%.
afraid of air.
That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, that would be a great person to bring it back. I hope eventually they will. So I feel like someday they will, because like we're in such an IP world nowadays that even though like not everybody knows it, I think enough people have a recollection of the idea of it that you can sell it on the reboot of it. 'Cause remember when this came out as a reboot, it was like
They did Fall Guy. I'm sure this is, like, people could remember this.
100%. So I think it would be a great way to do it. I think they should do another HBO series. Let's do it. If it does, and if we're off the air at that point, we're coming back to do an after show. Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely. Um, okay, so that's all from Jack. Jack just had follow Jack. I liked what he did. Overall, his stuff was great. So that's where we are with him. Yes, let's talk about
Also,
Chad.
it's good to have a healer in your group. You know,
Yes.
the party needs a healer.
The party always needs a healer. That's true. What we don't have really right now is a tank, but we'll get there. We'll get that tank. That's coming in maybe next episode or the episode after.
Intrigue.
That's the character I like. He's fun. He's surface level, but he's fun. I think. So let's talk about, we were talking about Chad. You want to bring that up at one point before I hijacked about Jack. Chad's story. Again, it feels a lot of back and forth, a lot of the same thing.
This was another thing that really bothered me. So at the beginning of the episode, we see he is doing an interview at are they calling it the medical center?
Healing centers.
Healing center. Thank you. And he's doing some interviews there, I guess.
Yeah.
Shooting some footage to do a report.
Right.
But this is happening all throughout the episode, which we know lasts more than 14 hours.
Good point. That's a great point. Yeah, absolutely.
It just bothered me. I'm like, why would you establish the timeline if you're just not even going to pay attention to it?
Maybe it's like a Dunkirk thing when it's like the story takes place. You don't know that. Okay. It's a Christopher Nolan movie where there's 3 storylines. But it all they all kind of go cut back and forth between them, but one takes place quicker than the others. So it's like they go. So like Chad's story might only be like 2 hours, while the rest of the story is 14 hours.
I mean, I'm sure that's the case, but
I get it. Yeah,
we know an established timeline exists with one, and you keep cutting back and forth with all these others.
Right.
It inherently kind of makes it make less sense.
I agree. And like the Dunkirk, they actually
unless
use that
Chad lives at the healing center now.
Maybe he does. So yeah, I didn't love his story this week because it just felt again more like, okay, we're doing. He's doing this he's doing positive journalist for favors.
I've given up on trying because the writers don't know.
He'll push occasionally, like he'll push us a little bit, but just to like so I'm not under heel completely, but it really is. And then they have the angle, which I don't even know what I feel like. It's like, so you're gonna say he's got an aneurysm coming that human technology can't see, so you really can't get a second opinion on. And we're going to heal you if you help us further. So
it was so dumb to say we have a waiting list.
Yes.
Like, be real, be serious. This was the dumbest. Like, he's your reporter.
That's exactly it, because he is a celebrity to them.
And also, like, that's just how every hospital works, is like, this person needs medical attention more quickly than that person. So you're going to sit in the waiting room for 4 fucking hours because your problem isn't as serious as these people, even though they came in more recently than you.
Right.
It's
it's triage.
Want to throw something.
Yeah. Dumb. And that's his whole storyline. The whole storyline over the course of the whole episode is basically that. And it's the same thing. And it's like, when does this do something different? Like, you can only go so long without having him kind of make a decision. Either he has to decide that he's all in with the visitors and he's going to be the Christine Walsh, or he's going to be the resistance. And he could decide that he wants to be the resistance and use his position to help. But this whole in-between thing just gets old after a little bit. In episode 2, sure, but you can't draw it out that much longer. But that's what they want to do. These writers want to draw out everything for eons. Everything is drawn out. Everything is we're going to figure this out later.
Why you need to have an idea where the stories go. You should at least have the first season written.
Yes, exactly.
The only reason a show shouldn't have their first season written is if it's like a sitcom and the previous episode doesn't matter.
Yeah. Was it episodic like that? Absolutely. That's different. This matters.
Yeah, you absolutely need your scripts written out. trying to avoid cussing.
That's I appreciate that, but it's all good. All right, so that's really all about Chad. Let's break into. We have two little things to talk about. I'm gonna do one. We'll close out with Joshua's story. Let's talk about the Bliss thing. Anna's
I
Bliss thing.
hated it.
I didn't hate it. I kind of look at it as like I hated it for this show. I appreciate a big sci-fi swing and whatever they're trying to do. If they're trying to make it a hive mind kind of thing, I kind of can see them doing it, but it just I didn't like it's kind of out of nowhere, and that's what I didn't like about it. I'm like, now we're just gonna wee
So,
everything's
like,
good.
all of the visitors, I'm not calling them V's, all of the visitors okay, hang on. Anna walks to a room wearing a white dress, slips off the white dress, and walks
It's
into
naked.
a light that is in the floor, and then begins to communicate telepathically with seemingly all of the visitors and some humans.
I don't think the humans did. I don't think
Okay, so
so.
that's what I was thinking. So I'm assuming visitors undercover,
We're visitors
but
for you.
we
That's why.
know Tyler heard her. Brandon's friend, Tyler.
But he didn't hear her necessarily. I think
I thought he heard
see
her,
the way
which
I
is
looked at it is like
why
he just stopped and like looked at it and saw that they were all like all the visitors were like I'm getting all happy. I think he was like, what's going on? What's that? What's kind of thing? That's what I kind of took it as. I don't
then
think he
why wouldn't
heard
he
it.
ask further? He asked, "What was that?" She says, "My mother's gift. We call it the bliss." So why wouldn't he then go, "Oh, what is that then? Why'd you all just pause?" I think he heard it too.
You're giving way
'Cause
too much credit for the writers, I think now.
damn.
So this is this exact same thing of Erica not asking, why are we here? Why are you here? Same type of thing. Like it's a question that Tyler absolutely should ask, but he's kind of like, okay, sure, sounds good. Anna's awesome. I love Anna. That sounds good. Anna's got a gift. So because it didn't affect him either way, for sure. So it must. That's why I think he didn't hear it. I think if he hears it, he gets affected.
I think you're giving the script
Possibly.
credit because everyone just stands still in a moment of
True.
euphoria.
True. Was there a light there for them too, or is that just supposed to be like a?
It
Was that like
some
a?
yes, some no.
It was like a visual like for the audience. It was.
For some, yes, for some, no.
So again,
It's
again,
unclear.
I like the idea, and I like that I just don't like the execution of it.
Execution, not there.
We're not there. All right, we're on the same page for the most part there. Okay, let's get into Joshua's storyline, which I took as a more positive from you, which is nice. It was nice to hear. So, kind of. I'm going to go with the negative right away.
Oh,
We get introduced to a new fifth columnist in order to be a sacrificial lamb.
he looks so familiar to me. I've definitely
too.
seen him in something else. I thought it was he was just in a previous episode and I didn't remember him.
No, he's definitely an actor somewhere else. I think I can't remember what it is. I have to look on IMDb and see. So the idea is that Anna is looking into the death of Alan Tudyk's character, and knows that somehow the medical team was involved. And so I guess there's like 12 or 13 full-time medical staff or people who would have had access or whatever. And Anna
And they
wants to.
stand in a V formation, which really annoyed me.
The ships at the end were the V formation too, by the way. Did you notice that?
Yes, I did. Okay. Do they think they're the Mighty Ducks? You need to stop.
It's that subtle thing we're going for again.
It's just dumb.
It is done. By the way, speaking of that, the ending of that just seems so weird. Like that was supposed to be the big. That's supposed to be the big cliffhanger thing. Kind of, is that all of a sudden we go from where we are, we go back and we see that are there more ships coming, but we haven't reached the point where that's like a real big threat now. Like it does. I'm like, okay, so the more aliens are coming. Okay, great. Why do we care yet?
I mean,
Like,
we already have 29 ships on Earth. Like,
right. Like
It's
when we
already at
saw it,
that.
I think they're trying to throw back to two things. Two things being one thing being like in the final battle when Pamela's ship came down, it was like a reinforcement thing because the resistance had a couple of wins at that point. So it was okay, so that's interesting. Okay, another ship is coming. And it ends up bringing Pamela. Cool. And the other thing it's trying to throw back to, I think, was the weekly series when we see the visitor ships behind the moon. But those were the same ships that were on Earth and had retreated and were coming back. That's the difference. Like this is just them throwing more ships at us. So it didn't make any sense to me at all. I don't. It was they obviously he had no idea what he wanted to do, and he was just throwing shit up against the wall. But anyway, let's go. Let's go back. Joshua, this new fifth columnist gets introduced.
Can I tell the story?
You go
Because
ahead.
I feel like
Absolutely.
I'm gonna tell it very differently than you.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. So, of course, in the last episode, Joshua, that effing idiot, killed Alan Tudyk. When, like, obviously, you look so suspicious, bro. Are you dumb? You didn't set anyone else up to take the blame? So now we have this new guy. His name is David, by the way. And he is
You
very
know his name.
concerned.
Interesting. Okay, you got that name.
Oh, because I got a reason for it.
Okay, fair. Sorry.
So he decides that he is going to take the blame because if no one takes the blame, Anna is kind of suspicious of Joshua, but she's kind of taking it easy on him. So I think Anna likes Joshua and does not suspect him. Or she does suspect him, I'm sorry, but she kind of doesn't want it to be him. I got the feeling because she basically threatens that if no one comes forward, then I'm gonna make an example. And I'm gonna keep making an example until the person comes forward. So David comes forward because he doesn't want anyone to know it was Joshua who's in the fifth column. Well, they both are. And the punishment is Joshua will have to skin David. Now, how I interpreted this, and I know I'm wrong, but like the way it was played, they definitely seem like lovers. And I'm like, so I was watching because there's a part where they walk by before we get to here where I'm like, are they? They got chemistry. And then we get to the scene where David is on the table and he's going to be literally skinned. I mean, this is like straight up the end of Martyrs, and Joshua is the one who has to do it, and he is clearly upset. It is a very, very tragic moment and a moment of sacrifice. We just see this man, talking, this other man, Joshua, into skinning him alive, and he's crying, and it's deeply upsetting. Maybe because I've seen Martyrs and I'm forever traumatized by it. I hope everyone's seen Martyrs. I'm just spoiling what happens there. It's a famous movie. It's fine. So Joshua ends up de-skinning. I call it martyring. Martyring really traumatized me. I can't convey enough.
I'm feeling that here. I'm feeling that here.
What?
I'm feeling that from you.
Oh. Have you seen Martyrs?
I have, yes.
Okay. So yeah, David is killed. He is flayed, I think is the correct word.
Yes.
And at the end, when Anna is doing the whole bliss thing, Joshua is wheeling out like these bloody instruments and is just a wreck. And it's really I'm calling this a tragic queer story. And if at any point, I'm just saying it right now, if Joshua gets a female love interest, I'm quitting the show.
It could be bi, right?
No, absolutely not. This man loved David, and he had to skin him alive. Like he is alone forever now.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I know I actually read that subtext as well, or not. I don't know if it was subtext. It was whatever. It was definitely not overt. They didn't say it, whatever. But yes, I kind of got the same feeling too that they were definitely closer than you knew. Problem I had with the whole thing.
You had a problem with that part?
No, the only problem I had, is that the fact that I think it could have been more effective if we had met David earlier.
Yeah.
Or if we had gotten a little more time. It's kind of like we got introduced to, I even called him no name visitor because I don't remember, no name fifth columnist because I did not remember his name. It's like he gets introduced just to be flayed. And it was kind of like, we could have gotten a little bit more out of that. Like we had met him in this episode, and this happens like 7 or 8, even
Yeah,
like 2 or 3
these
episodes.
writers don't understand longevity.
Right.
It's
And that's the
almost
problem.
like they're not good writers.
Almost. By the way, Ryan Kennedy played David, and he was in a couple episodes of Smallville. That might be where you recognize him from potentially. He was Cosmic Boy in
Yes.
Smallville.
Yes, I absolutely remember him 1,000% now.
He's also in another episode too. Let me see. I'll find it again. Because you probably remember that better. Rock Kryn. He was Rock Kryn. I don't remember who Rock Kryn was though. Yeah,
I would need the episode, not the character name.
Yeah, I can't even. Well, it's fine. Anyway, so yeah, overall though, I did like Joshua's performance. The actor who played Joshua was good in this for that. Again, he didn't get a lot to work with. Well, he did get a lot to work with in terms of the skinning alive part, obviously, absolutely. But
I feel
he really
like
broke down, and
I don't know if the visitors are supposed to be emotionally muted or if that's just Anna. And if it is just Anna, why is it just Anna? And if it's not just Anna, then why isn't it also Ryan?
What
I'm
I
so
think,
confused.
and I can't guarantee this isn't me remembering some things, so I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but I don't know for sure. My feeling is that the visitors are unemotional, like generally speaking, like Anna, like Marcus is the same way. And I think when they become emotional, when they hit their emotions, that's when they can't do what the visitors are doing, and that's when they become fifth columnists. I think that's what they're
Okay,
trying to
so
push
this
that way.
feels a little anti-Vulcan to me. I
Yes, that's what it feels
will
like.
watch your anti-vaccine, slightly conservative show, but when you go anti-Vulcan, that's when you lose me, man.
You can't have emotion.
Don't know why I did it in a Macho Man Randy Savage, but that's what
I was
happened.
curious about that too, but I was going to let it go. I'm going to let it go. I hope you do it more. I like it. I like Macho Man. So, I don't know. I kind of think because it's actually not necessarily anti-Vulcan as much as pro-Spock, because Spock fights with that a little bit during his Star Trek days. He fights with he does hit his emotions occasionally. But this, I don't trust the writers to handle that well here. That's the bigger issue.
I trust J.J. Abrams more than them.
And that's saying something for you. I know that. I know that's a hard thing.
I do like J.J. Abrams quite a bit.
Do you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'm just not gonna lie and say he doesn't like start a show and then run away and leave other people to deal with it without any kind of like, hey, where are we going with this? And let's not
fair.
PLD, you have a Star Wars podcast. Come on. You know it's true.
He came back and finished, even though he had to be begged and cajoled and didn't really want to.
I hope he was paid a lot of money. He deserved it.
I think he was. I think he was paid a lot of money, I think. Yeah. Either way. Okay, so is there anything else? Because we touched on fifth column, we touched on that. I think we touched on just about everything, didn't we?
I think we did it.
Yeah, the warehouse explosion, New York. Yeah, yeah, that's about it. So we're ending up at the spot we are. Anna's done Bliss. Anna wants Tyler for something. We still have no idea what she wants with Tyler. We know that Jack is stabbed. They all know Ryan's a visitor. Val is pregnant somehow. And Georgie was hurt. That's where we end off. And that's where the first showrunner got kicked to the corner. And rightfully so. Rightfully so, because this is definitely not a great start. And if I show this to a network TV, I'd be like, okay.
Not all white men fail up.
That's fair. Not in this case.
Who knew?
I guess we got to give another white man a shot here at this point. That's what we're doing now. We'll see if this next white man can handle it a little bit better. I'm hoping so. I mean, I know it got canceled. It did get a second season, so maybe it tweaked up a little bit. Maybe we'll find out. Yeah, I'm looking forward to at least meeting some other characters. I'm looking forward to see where it goes from here. It definitely becomes more of an action show. I think which I think honestly the show needs, because it can't handle the suspense well. So if you can't do the suspense and thriller well, you might as well lead in action. I mean, that's the way. I get it. I get what they're going to have to go for, but yeah, I understand your side too. But that'll do it for us for this week. I hope you enjoyed watching us hate watch on this this episode, and even I was struggling to find stuff positive. So you know where we're at. You almost know Lego's going to hate watch it at this point. You almost know.
It's a terrible
But
reputation you labeled me with, PLD.
am
Everywhere
I wrong?
else, I'm known-ish for not talking about things I don't like. I
Well,
have a
I'm
whole
glad.
reputation. You ruined me.
I'm glad I hooked you in. I'm glad you're sticking it out. You made the commitment, and I appreciate your commitment. You're standing up for your commitment. So, we'll see. We'll see next time and see if it gets any better. You gotta. I will say one thing: we can't expect it to change overnight. You can't expect like the first episode back to be like, "Oh, this is awesome." But we can hope that maybe it's a correction in a way. I guess we'll find out next time on review. Lego, where can the folks find you?
I could be found at Lego Rants on YouTube, or The Unhinged Binge on YouTube, or Spotify. I normally talk about horror movies. I'm going to be recently reviewed The Mutilator, and I'm going to be doing The Beast Within pretty soon, and hopefully starting back on finishing the Friday the 13th series with my buddy Kurt. And you can also find me Characters of Culture. My buddy Rob and I do a show every other Thursday. Next, we're doing something that I should probably remember, but don't.
Nice way to plug it. I love it. I really enjoy the Friday 13th, as you know. I enjoy. I'm actually about to watch The Beast Within soon. That was next up on one of my lists for In Search of Darkness. So I have not watched it yet.
I'm gonna have to ask how far you are on In Search of Darkness.
Let's see if I can find a lot of I've watched them before. I don't. I am on part 2. I am in the second episode of the miniseries. I'm going through everything that was listed. I had a list of like stuff that mentioned the first one, the second one, and the third one. And I just recently watched Saturday the 14th, which
You're not my favorite.
no,
I prefer Student Bodies.
Yes.
There's another one that's really funny, and I'm totally blanking on the name of.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
Judge Reinhold's in it.
I know which one you're talking about. I can't remember the name of it either, but you are right about that. I remember that.
So I made a list of 255 of the movies that are in Search of Darkness. There are a few I refuse to watch.
Okay.
I didn't remove them, but they are there. I've seen 225 of the 255, so that's 88%.
How many total were there?
255.
Okay, because I have 118 left for the rest of the In Search of Dark. And actually, that is actually a misnomer because a few of them I'm actually, like, for example, The Hills Have Eyes 2 was in The Search of Darkness. I've decided I'm going to watch The Hills Have Eyes 1 first so I can watch both of them. If there was an earlier episode.
Have you not seen?
It's been a long time. Same with I want to watch the Amityville Horror before I watch Amityville 2.
Oh, I've recently watched the first 8 sequels.
Oh, I do remember you talked to me about that. That's
PLD. They're fun. Like Dollhouse?
Yeah.
It's About Time. Yo, the clock one. It's About Time is fun.
I've heard that from film people. I've heard that.
I also watched all the House movies, and I love House. I have one more from the La Casa franchise to get through.
Okay.
Because I just watched Witchery today. That was the Italian movie I did.
Right.
So I just have one more. Which name? I don't remember.
All right. Well, we will get there. We will.
But doing pretty good. I've seen in total. Oh shoot! I think I've seen about. I'm totally blanking now. Shucky darn! I want to say 3. It's got to be over 300. Maybe it's 350 80s horror movies.
That sounds about right. That's amazing and impressive.
I really like 80s horror. I don't know if it shows. I don't know if I've expressed that. Yeah, 350. All right, I have a list of 466 80s horror movies I want to watch.
More to go beyond 350.
Yeah, so I have 466 specifically I want to watch. But then, you know, sometimes Tubi throws things at me I've never heard, like video violence. And if your description says shot on camcorder, I'm gonna click you. And then I watched video violence 1 and 2.
Nice. Loved him. Okay. Throw out throw out something you're not going to watch that you refuse to watch.
I'm not watching any of the guinea pig movies.
Okay. Okay, that's fair.
Absolutely not.
That's fair.
Mm-mm.
And of course, they are making In Search of Darkness the 90s now. Does that interest you at all?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. So on Letterboxd, I made a list of each decade. I kind of clumped anything pre-70s into one list because it was small enough. But
Right.
after the 70s, I have a list for each decade, and it's just horror movies either I've seen or want to watch. So 90, I have the 90s rather. I have 212 movies in total, of which I've seen 178.
Nice, nice.
I like to quantify my data.
I love it. I love it. I actually have a letterbox. I have thousands of lists because every one of my like actors that are I think I got Prime thing. I have a list for movies I've letterboxing with them, like ranking all their ones. So like literally thousands of lists.
That's insane.
Yes.
I can tell you specifically, I think I'm going to delete one though. I have 36 lists. But I think I'm going to delete one.
Before you go, let me see my insanity. I got to figure out where they are. Let me say lists.
It's on your profile?
Yep. One, no, that's the list tags. It's on my profile. Let me see if I.
Yeah, it'll be like at the top on the right-hand side. It'll be like how many movies this year, lists, following, followers.
I think it's actually screwed up because it says only 295, and I know for sure I have far more than that.
Maybe just it can't.
That
count.
might be 295 public, maybe. Maybe there's a bunch that are. Because I don't go public with them until if an actor gets 10 films or their entire filmography. I keep it private. Then when he gets 10 films, I've seen 10 films or more, and this is all anything I've seen since I started letterboxing. Like if I saw the movie before, I don't count it because I don't review it yet until I rewatch it, kind of thing. So
see, now that's insane. I like want to get a good, accurate reading on things. So I have 2,909 movies logged.
nice.
Oh, I try not to log documentaries.
Yeah, me too. I don't do those either.
I do have a list for those. That one's private, but yeah.
I have logged 2,677 films so far, so not too bad. But all right, that's enough. We're getting off the way of tangent. This is supposed to be an epilogue. This is supposed to be us teasing out of the show.
Listen,
we're having a
man,
conversation.
horror movies. You gotta, you know, you and PJ talk. You know, before we talk after.
You talk after. That's our shtick. Okay, I hear. If you're still around and you're still here and you're still, I don't even know why you listen to us anymore at this point. But hey, like and subscribe, all that kind of good stuff. Patreon.com/PLD Projects. If you want to help the channel even further, I would appreciate that. If not, totally get it. You can join crew like Austin Caddell and Brian Buckingham. It's a lot of cool fun, but I get it completely. Just like, comment, help us fight the almighty algorithm. We have a lot of stuff going on here on the channel, which is where you can find me all the time. Twitter at Paul_Denuzio. But also this week, let's say this is going to air on Thursday, so you'll have already had 2 mediocre wait dudes on film John Wick Chapter 2. You'll have already had Holy Snokes this week, where we did the alternate casting of the prequel trilogy, and that's going to be fun. We did the original trilogy a couple weeks back. And yeah, and then this week on Crown Jewels, my Queen podcast, we are doing the song Coming Soon from the game. And that's it. Yeah, that's about it. So I think that's all I have to say. I can get out of here now. Wait till next time with a 1.05, the new showrunner. We'll see if it gets any better. For Lego's sake, I'm hoping so. But I guess we'll find out. Until then, as always, Prete Nama.